Want to deal with the mindset of Tennessee moving through this region. So I will ask this question first of Caleb Calhoun, then we'll go to John Adams. Tennessee's chances of making it to the national championship round, the Final Four, based off what I've seen from this region is blank. And Caleb, we'll start with you, or John, if you want to jump in there, your thoughts.
Well, I was looking at Tennessee's chances of winning the national title, given this region, not just making the Final Four. And I say it's realistic, but not likely.
Realistic. So, John, let's go national title. And then I want to go back to Caleb to get why he says realistic. But let's go ahead and go national title, not just Final Four. What do you say?
Unlikely. I mean, there's a shot at the Final Four, certainly in this region. Tennessee can hold its own, but I think it will be difficult to beat Creighton and either Gonzaga or Purdue back to back. I think that would be a tough road for Tennessee. But yeah, I just think when I look around, I watched a lot of tournament games. I watched a lot of them this past week, and before going into the tournament, I really questioned whether I didn't think UConn could make it to the Final Four because I didn't think it was that good a team. It would take, to me, a super team to go back to back like that. I should say I didn't think it could win a national title. I didn't even put it going to the Final Four. I just thought it would slip up after losing 3 players to the NBA from its national championship team. But the way it played, it really took care of business. And I also really liked the way Houston played. A tough game against Texas A&M, which is playing well. Houston came through in the clutch. So, yeah, I think we could be headed for a different kind of Final Four than what we had last year.
It's been a lot more physical, Caleb, and I think that Houston is the one if they ran into them at that point in the tournament, then you're all fine because that would be the Final Four. But I think Houston is the one kind of team, a la a Texas A&M, that's physical that you don't want to run into. I know Edey is a big guy who's physical at Purdue, but I don't see a tough physical team top to bottom. So but A&M and Houston were the 2 teams that I kind of thought Tennessee didn't want to run into before the selection bracket was even announced. And I think that was evident in the SEC tournament game. Any other teams that scare you in the region of keeping teams to the Final Four or maybe a national championship game?
Well, in the region, Tennessee's region is very unique because they play Creighton and then they play Purdue or Gonzaga. Gonzaga is really the only team that matches Tennessee's tempo. Funny enough, Tennessee runs a lot more tempo this year than they've run in years past. Creighton and Purdue both want to work the inside out game. And so I think, and John, I said this yesterday, believe it or not, I said that this would be a weekend where Tennessee could use old school Bruce Pearl, because I think their best chance to get to the Final Four is to press on every made basket, play the passing lanes aggressively, and try to score in transition all the time, because I think their best chance is to out athletic both of those teams and run full court more than anything else.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. It is an unusual regional from that perspective, from Tennessee's perspective. I think Tennessee's problem in this region, it just came out of the first weekend playing. Well, I mean, St. Peter's, I don't know how it got, well, it got in the tournament, but it was very limited. Texas is not good enough offensively. And I really wonder now if Tennessee in this region, I thought it was a favorable draw for Tennessee to be in this region. I like it better than the others in terms of getting to the Final Four, but I just don't know if Tennessee can shoot well enough in back-to-back games to beat the teams it would need to beat to get to the Final Four. I think that's the issue now. But I think on a given day, it can beat any one of those 3 teams. That wouldn't be shocking at all. But to win back-to-back with the way Tennessee been shooting lately, that would be a tough chore.
Let me give you a couple of their top traits, I think, for the Vols. And it's not just a guy named Dalton Connect. It is brought to you by our friends at Ray Varner Ford, right there, Ray Varner Ford in Clinton.
Welcome to Ray Varner Ford in Clinton, where every turn meets new possibilities and every mile celebrates cutting-edge innovation. Elevate your journey with our pre-owned selection of quality vehicles. 2021 Ford Mustang 5.0 GT, 33,540. 2021 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali 4x4, 46,980. 2022 Ford Expedition King Ranch 4x4, 67,550. Local you trust, pre-owned vehicles you can afford. Ray Varner Ford.
Ray Varner Ford there. We certainly appreciate that and him being a part of the program. And John, I think this team has moxie. I think it has incredible moxie. And I say that because I think they have multiple ways to win. So they don't have to have Dalton Connect pull them out of a hole. They just have to go out there and find another way to win. I thought they've done that when Dalton Connect has been cold. So I like the moxie of this basketball team. That's abstract. It's a bit more psychological. But what do you make of the makeup of this basketball team?
No, I think it has moxie. It's beaten a lot of good teams in the SEC, and despite the way the SEC's been flaming out in the tournament, it was a tough league during the regular season. Maybe overrated. I think the tournament has proved that. But yeah, I think it's got a nice blend of veterans, uh, athleticism, and of course a superstar in Dalton Connect. But when I look at this region, I see other tough teams that are also very resourceful. Creighton had a very, very difficult game in the second round. I mean, it was almost done against Oregon, which came on strong late in the year. So I give Creighton a lot of credit for going this far too, because it had to win a tough game. So I don't think Tennessee is just going to out tough any of these teams. I think this is from that perspective. I think all these teams can be pretty resourceful in this situation. I just think it's going to come down to shooting, and Tennessee could survive a 3 for 25 game from three against Texas. It can't survive that against any of these teams.
All right, and let me clarify. I think I misspoke. John's appearance brought to you by Joe Newbert Collision Center. Newbert Collision Center. His columns comes crashing down into knoxnews.com. Knoxnews.com. Hit the like and subscribe button so you can be a part of the program. So, how deep does Tennessee go in this upcoming Sweet 16? We'll ask John that flat out since this is the time of the week we have him after a quick second from Newbert Collision Center.
In its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that. If we wouldn't put our family in it, we're not going to put their family in it. If you're going to say that you're doing the best work in Knoxville, now saying it's one thing, producing it and providing it's another.
The largest family-owned collision center in Knoxville is Joe Newbert Collision Center.
All right, so John, let me ask you, how do you see Tennessee coming out of this Sweet 16 weekend? It's pretty easy. Win none, win one, win two.
Well, before the tournament, I predicted Tennessee to go to the Elite Eight, and then when I was filling out a bracket, I didn't see them beating Creighton. So I I still think Tennessee can get to the Elite Eight, though. I just don't think it can beat Creighton and either Purdue or Gonzaga back to back. So I'll put it in the Elite Eight, but that's real shaky because the Creighton. I really like Creighton after watching it the other night.
Caleb, I did too. I like Creighton a little bit more than I thought I would, but I watched that game and I thought that Tennessee was a decent matchup against them. So after watching it, I like Tennessee, and I like Tennessee to beat Creighton. Let's say Purdue advances. To me, that's a coin flip because the styles are so incredibly different.
Yeah, I mean, in my bracket, I had Tennessee in the Elite Eight and losing to Purdue. I said this team was different than other Barnes teams in the NCAA tournament, but the way they're different is they'll actually reach the round that they were seeded to reach, which was the Elite Eight, which they've always come up one round short of that every year under Rick Barnes since he's been at Tennessee.
Good, John. That's not the goal, is to come up just a little bit short in life.
No, no, I mean, you don't set out as a youngster and say, man, I would love at the end of the day, at the end of my life, if I just came up just a little bit short of all my goals, everything I strive for.
Well, I mean, maybe that was Hillary Clinton's deal.
That was Mark Few's deal at Gonzaga.
It's Ross Perot's deal. He goes to the devil and he goes, so the best I can do would be second. But I shake things up. I make things a little crazy and I make this independent stuff not sound so wild. Can I do that? Okay, I'll do it. I'm signing up. I'm Ross Perot.
He didn't come up just short. He got like 16% of the popular vote.
I thought it was like 6. I didn't, but he split the vote on the conservative side. So he actually did in some ways win, which sounds a little bit weird.